and welcome back to the DHANDHA series by Omkara Capital. Today we have an upcoming IPO called the Electronics MART India Limited. We as Omkara Capital have no economic interests. This series is purely based for learning for all the viewers who are watching. Sir, we will request you that we wanted to make it extremely simple so that people across the globe and the country can understand what your company does in the most simplest way.
और सर आपको जो भी भाषा में हिंदी में इंग्लिश में whatever you are comfortable with, please you know be very candid with that.
Sure.
All right.
You want me to give it? Let's start. आप कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछना चाह रहे हो या आप चाह रहे हो कि मैं स्टार्ट करूं या कुछ बताओ?
So we usually follow a PPP model, in which we say that the first piece for promoters, the other piece product, and the third one is the price. So the first one, very simply, we want to understand the background of the promoters and how the company was started and what have they done in the last couple of years.
Yeah, the entire journey, if you can, summarize.
Right. Company was formed by my father, Mr. Pawan Bajaj, back in 1980. हमने पहला स्टोर 1980 में खोला था हैदराबाद में, which was a 500 square feet store. फिर Dad now is the chairman and the managing director of the company, and I am the CEO. So from 1980 to 2004 फिर हमने एक और दुकान खोली 2004 में, फिर 2007 में हमने दूसरी दुकान खोली. 2007 में जो हमने खोली, that was a large format store, that was the first single store which was 12,000 square feet. फिर 2010 में मैंने बिजनेस ज्वाइन किया. 2010 में हमने 3 दुकानें खोली, 11 में 3. फिर from there on we kept on opening and adding stores. So on an average today we open around 20 stores a year. So that is what the expansion is. I joined the business in 2010. So I finished my education and I joined the business in 2010. So that's when we started doing newer categories like kitchen appliances, inbuilt appliances. And then 2014 we started doing mobile phones. So we started doing with Sony Ericsson, Sony, those kind of brands back then. And then we introduced all the Oppos and the Vivos that came a little later. So आज mobile phones contribute around 35% of our top line. So that is what the product mix is. And we are very strong with all the product categories like televisions, refrigerators, air conditioners, washing machine. हम लोग सारे products बेचते हैं. हमारा आइडिया ये है कि हम लोग 8 से 10,000 स्क्वायर फीट का स्टोर लेते हैं और उसमें हम लोग ये सारे ब्रांड्स और सारे प्रोडक्ट्स डिस्प्ले करते हैं. हमारा कोई वाइट लेबल या प्राइवेट लेबल नहीं है. हम लोग का कॉन्सेंट्रेशन होता है कि जो बड़े ब्रांड्स हो हर एक कैटेगरी में, जहाँ पर वो डोमिनेंट हो जो भी ब्रांड्स, हम लोग वो ब्रांड्स के साथ काम करते हैं और कस्टमर्स को हम लोग बेस्ट एक्सपीरियंस देना चाहते हैं स्टोर पे. तो हम लोग इसीलिए सबसे ज़्यादा जगह ये बड़े ब्रांड्स को देते हैं एंड मेक श्योर दैट they can display and showcase their technology much better. So that is the idea that we showcase on the floor front. हम लोग जब एक्सपैंड कर रहे थे तो हमारा मेन कंसंट्रेशन था कि पहले हम हैदराबाद में ग्रो करें, फिर वहाँ से पेरिफेरी ऑफ तेलंगाना एंड आंध्र प्रदेश में. स्टेट का जब बाइफर्केशन हुआ था आंध्र तेलंगाना का, तो हमने पहला स्टोर हमने तिरुपति सिटी में खोला था. फिर वहाँ से हम लोग एक्सपैंड करते गए. आज हमारी 17 दुकानें हैं हैदराबाद के बाद तेलंगाना में और 22 दुकानें हमारी आंध्र प्रदेश में हैं, जो नेल्लोर, तिरुपति, विजयवाड़ा, वाइजैक, राजमंड्री अलग सिटीज में हैं. So overall together between Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, we operate in over 36 plus cities in smaller tier 2, tier 3 cities put together. फिर अगस्त के महीने में 14th of August we launched 8 stores in Delhi NCR. So that was the plan. Moving forward out of this region, we wanted to expand into a new periphery also. And that's why we started our operations in Delhi NCR. So looking at the market size, looking at the depth of the market and all of that, we thought that Delhi NCR would be the right market to go for our product mix. तो इसलिए हमने डिसाइड किया कि हम दिल्ली में स्टोर्स खोलेंगे अभी. तो अभी हमारा एक्सपेंशन अगले 2.5-3 साल तक will be concentrated on Andhra, Telangana and at the same time in Delhi NCR as well. Yeah.
Got it, sir. Thanks. So if you can expand, sir, retail का धंधा कैसा होता है, कैसे कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स होता है, कैसे बिजनेस मॉडल डिफरेंट होता है और आपका बिजनेस मॉडल क्या है और आप वो वाला मॉडल क्यों फॉलो करते हैं, थोड़ा आप इस पे.
Sure. So retail एक्चुअली तरीके से देखो तो बहुत सिंपल बिजनेस है, बट एट द सेम टाइम डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है अगर आप उसको डिफिकल्ट बनाते हो. So basically it is a business of buying and selling. So margins बहुत thin होते हैं business में. आपको देखना पड़ता है कि आपकी purchasing correct हो, same time आपका inventory churn faster हो, आपका dead stock ना हो, you know. तो जो stock अटक जाता है floor पे, that is more important कि आप वो पहले कैसे निकालो. So हमारे channels हैं जहाँ से हम लोग इसको liquidate करते हैं. That is more important कि आप customer को right technology, right price पे new technology कैसे showcase करो. क्योंकि consumers today study करके आते हैं product के बारे में. अगर आपके स्टोर में वो ऑफलाइन में अवेलेबल ही नहीं है प्रोडक्ट, तो देन व्हाट विल यू सेल, यू नो. सो आइडिया है कि कस्टमर को सब पता होता है, आपको सिर्फ उनको शोकेस करना होता है वो प्रोडक्ट इन द राइट वे. तो मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट इज दैट यू नो यू हैव टू मेक श्योर द लेटेस्ट लॉन्च और द लेटेस्ट प्रोडक्ट इज ऑलवेज अवेलेबल एट स्टोर, एनी कैटेगरी फॉर दैट मैटर, नॉट ओनली मोबाइल फोन या टीवी, बट सारे कैटेगरियों में सारे प्रोडक्ट शुड बी अवेलेबल. नंबर 2 इज आज कस्टमर्स एक क्लस्टर में ही ज्यादा घूमते हैं. So customers are not going to travel too long today because of traffic, because of a lot of time restrictions that they would have. So customers चाहते हैं कि उनके घर के पास या उनकी पेरिफेरी में ही कोई अच्छा स्टोर मिले. So that is more important कि आप right location पे जगह स्टोर खोलो और give a complete experience from how a customer would come in and where the location is, what all brand you're displaying there, what is the product mix for that store, high end है नहीं है, सारा कुछ depending on that cluster you would then decide on how do you deliver that store. तो ये छोटी छोटी डिटेल्स हैं जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होती हैं स्टोर डिसाइड करने में, स्टोर खोलने में, एंड देन फ्रॉम देयर ऑन यू डिलीवर एन एक्सपीरियंस टू अ कस्टमर. जहाँ रही बात प्राइसिंग की या बात ऑफर्स की, so today a lot of offers are given by the brands themselves. So let it be credit card EMIs, debit card EMIs, NBFC financing, cashbacks, you know, offers from wallets, offer from voucher companies and stuff like that. तो प्राइस वाइज डिफरेंशिएशन हो जाता है आपका मेजरली ये ऑफर्स के थ्रू. सो वेयर डिफरेंट कंज्यूमर्स गेट डिफरेंट ऑफर्स ऑन डिफरेंट फ्लो. तो वहां पर आप कैसे कस्टमर्स को बेस्ट ऑप्शन दे पाओ, दैट इज व्हाट वुड डिफरेंशिएट यू.
So if you say, as you said, कि pricing से differentiation होता है, so what are the steps which you are taking and which the other peers are taking? Because some peers होंगे जो ज़्यादा बड़े होंगे, जो ज़्यादा offers एक customer के लिए रख सकेंगे. So how do you differentiate yourself there?
तो जैसे मैं आपको बोल रहा था कि कस्टमर्स को एक तो लेटेस्ट टेक्नोलॉजी दिखाना होता है, बिकॉज द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ एन ऑफलाइन इज दैट हाउ डू यू शोकेस yourself well or differentiate better by showcasing the same product, because at the end of the day the brands and the products remain more or less the same across all the retailers. But compared to a mom and pop store which is a smaller size store, you know, probably जहाँ पर something as important as parking to the lighting of the store, the air conditioning of the store, the ambience of the store, you know, तो ये सारा एक journey होता है that how do you make sure that you deliver the right mix for every category that you display on. So it is not like you're displaying one category which is probably lower in ASP in a very different manner because वो छोटा product category है, but the churn is much higher there, you know. So something as simple as a mobile phone, TV, fridge, washing machine, refrigerator. So the idea is when a customer walks into your store, आपको उसको range दिखानी है, आपको उसको spread दिखाना है, and how do you showcase that spread at the range कि customer का demand किस category में ज़्यादा आ रहा है, customer का demand क्या है. अभी for example as simple as a say a geyser water heater for that matter, you know. So if I sell a water heater in the market but it is not in demand, you know, doesn't matter क्या price पे बेचूं मैं, वो बिकेगा नहीं उधर, you know. Or a larger water heater, if I go to a colder place where the water heater sales are higher, and if I sell them probably a 3 liter or a 6 liter water heater, उनको बड़ा चाहिए होता है capacity wise, you know. So there is a product mix that is required in every territory which has to be made correctly done. So अगर वो आप पूरा प्रोडक्ट मिक्स करेक्ट करते हो, तो देन दैट इज अ लर्निंग कर्व. डेफिनेटली आप डे वन सारा कुछ नहीं कर सकते, but then that is a learning curve, and how sooner you learn and how sooner you deliver or make that changes on the floor is very important. And then technology product change में क्या होता है, you have to be ready for the new technologies that come in. You have to be ready with new product categories that are जैसे post covid dishwashers, vacuum cleaners, ये सारे products पे काफी demand आ रही थी. So you have to make sure that you have to be ready for a lot of other product categories that you were not concentrating earlier on.
So इन आपका जो सोर्सिंग है या फिर आपका जो इन्वेंट्री मैनेजमेंट है, उसमें कोई बिजनेस इंटेलिजेंस आप यूज करते हो या डेटा साइंस और समथिंग ऑफ दैट सॉर्ट?
Right. So not data science per se, but definitely yes. So it is all in the system. So reporting comes in from there. So if you want to compare numbers for any quarter, any period in the past, also it becomes helpful. So you can project or you can look at a trend that we've been following quarter on quarter, month on month, week on week, whenever we do that. So that definitely helps in terms of understanding how the market dynamics are, how a particular store is performing than the other stores. So as if it वो data मिल जाता है, that becomes quite helpful, because you can't even lose out one single day of sales. So you have to make sure that you are hands on with that information.
Sir, so as Rikin asked
Thank you.
about something about procurement. Sir, very simple question. Sir, how do you procure and from where do you procure? Like, is it a sub distributor? Is it directly from the OEM? या फिर someone like a Reddington, Ingram, या आप लेते कहाँ से?
So it is a mix. It would be the major brands and the major products comes in directly from the manufacturers. जैसे LG, Sony, Samsung जैसे बड़े brands होके सबका directly आता है majorly. But then few brands which run through distributor like Reddington, Ingram, and then a lot of smaller categories that run through a lot of local distributors. So there is a mix of local distributors, national distributors, companies directly across all the brands. So mix product wise mix होता है सबका. So we buy it from wherever the company का channel होता है. That is how we buy.
So is there a difference in margins from how you source?
Not really, because a lot of times these smaller distributors are meant more like a CNF agent, to make sure that they can handle, because when you're talking about delivery to 100 stores in different locations, logistically it becomes a little difficult for a lot of manufacturers, especially for a small company to manage it. That's why they have a local distributor, so that the logistic can be managed and things can be in place, So काफी चीजें इसलिए then it is the company's decision whether they want to supply it through a distributor or directly, but then the margins would more or less remain the same for the bigger players.
Got it.
And so for this, what are we doing to come online? Because say maybe for the larger appliances, the online presence might not be there so much, but the smaller appliances, say a sub 15,000 rupee phone or a trimmer or a charger.
Correct.
The online market is growing and only growing.
Right.
Correct.
So what are
So currently we are present on the e-commerce platform on the marketplace with the two largest players. So it gives us a depth of information. It gives us a knowledge on how trends are there. So that is a part of our business. We would be concentrating on growing that parallelly. But apart from that, as you said, there's a differentiation or segmentation, what sells online, what sells offline. More than anything, most important for a retailer like us is that profitability कितना होता है. It doesn't matter कि आप top line बढ़ा रहे हो, you get a channel to increase your top line, but at the same time bottom line is equally important, because though you don't have costs like storefront marketing and stuff like that, or rentals and all, but then the other costs that are there with probably discounting हो गया आपका, or the returns हैं, logistics हैं, those kind of things actually are a huge cost running an online show. We have to make sure that the business is profitable there at the same time, So that is where we differentiate between what we concentrate selling online and what we concentrate selling offline, because profitability is equally important.
So difference क्या दोनों के economics में? Say for example, if you're buying directly from an OEM and selling it offline, but you're again buying from an OEM but selling it online on Amazon. तो आपको Amazon को क्या देना है and आपको OEM के साथ कैसे धंधा करना है?
So हाँ.
Yeah, Rikin.
Differences in those two modes of operations that you have now.
So it is, if you ask me, it is globally, on a global scenario, it is a very similar process. Offline, you might buying it from the manufacturers, selling offline or online, but the channels are different, because here you're on the offline front, you're interacting with customers, you have to have salespeople on the floor, you have to have a store, you have to invest in the display front, So the costs are a little different here. Versus in the offline, you have to, on the online front, you have to have the stocks available with you there, right there and then. The logistic partners have to be aligned for it. They have to be bearing warehouse cost. There has to be a staff packing it for you. Order confirmations, details to be done. All of those things are very important in the back end here. Plus the return policies, the returns, the damages, what comes in front here in the offline and the online front are much higher. So you have to make sure for different categories you are managing that well. So those kind of things are differentiation factor. So the cost involved in both of them running the businesses eventually boils down to the same number in terms of the percentage, but there are different heads that they are divided into. So running the business is the same, but then here on the online space, you have to be more competitive because the customer is able to, match the price right there and then on the phone, on the, on the laptop that they are comparing the price to. Okay, so it is very dynamic. You have to be very dynamic on the online space. So that is a differentiation that is there. So we have to make sure that the right product mix or the right product categories are there online as well. Again, the same thing as I gave you an example earlier. So a lot of categories don't sell online in a larger number compared to what other categories like mobile phone and accessories sell. So you have to make sure that whatever you're selling is profitable, whatever you're selling is competitive. So there it is more dynamic. So you have to be hands-on with that business as well.
Right.
So sir, if we come back little bit to the basics, आपका जो stores है तो वो है you have your multi-brand outlets and you have
Yeah.
your exclusive brand outlets.
Correct.
So sir, what is the difference और आपका operations कहाँ कौन से side heavy है थोड़ा उस पे please expand.
Sure. So हमारे टोटल 110 प्लस स्टोर्स में से सिर्फ 12 स्टोर एक्सक्लूसिव ब्रांड आउटलेट्स हैं, बाकी सारे मल्टी ब्रांड आउटलेट्स हैं. तो ये एक्सक्लूसिव ब्रांड आउटलेट्स होते हैं एक्सक्लूसिव ब्रांड्स के साथ, जहां पर एक ही ब्रांड के प्रोडक्ट्स बेचते हैं हम लोग. एडवांटेज वुड बी दैट यहाँ पर इन टर्म्स ऑफ स्टोर इकोनॉमिक्स they remain the same as the multi-brand store, but in terms of the numbers per square foot almost same. But then अगर आप overall level पे देखोगे उसको तो आपको लगेगा ये साइज छोटा है स्टोर का, क्योंकि ये स्टोर का साइज छोटा होता है, इनका churn छोटा होता है. But then it is more to do with an experience again that a customer is coming in for a particular brand, तो उनको वो सारे ब्रांड के काफी अच्छे प्रोडक्ट्स दिख जाते हैं उधर जो मल्टी ब्रांड स्टोर पे नहीं मिलते हैं. So a lot of these niche categories, जैसे फैंस हो गए कोई ब्रांड का कोई स्टीमर मशीन हो गया, कोई ब्रांड का एयर प्यूरिफायर्स हो गया, या some other product like monitor screens, or their headphones for that particular company. So a lot of these smaller product categories which are very niche for those brands are displayed here as well. So कंपनी का स्टोर होता है तो उसमें क्या होता है कि आपको सारे प्रोडक्ट्स मिल जाते हैं देखने को, तो कोई कस्टमर पर्टिकुलरली वो ब्रांड के वो प्रोडक्ट ले आता है, so then it becomes easier for us also to send that customer across to the exclusive brand outlet. वैसे.
Got it.
Right. So say now Chroma has its own website that is sell.
Anji.
Do we also do something like that where we have our own website?
No, we don't.
No, so we are only selling something on the marketplace, like say for example Amazon or Flipkart, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Got it. So sir, now you are dominant in the southern region, right?
Anji.
You have your competitors like Vijay Sales in the more mid and west perhaps, and there'll be other competitors in north. So now business strategy wise, what is your right to win in newer geographies? तो आपने NCR में 8 स्टोर डाले आप बोल रहे हैं, तो आप how will you get that footfall in a newer area? You'll have different challenges in a newer geography. तो वो सब आप शायद.
तो ऐसा है, I'll keep it simple, Rikin. So there's a recipe for it. अगर मैं अपनी recipe बता दूं, तो then there is so that becomes difficult. But then at the same time, there is no recipe for it. It is just like frankly, आप मेरे से पूछे तो मैं बोल रहा था, it's a very simple business. So it is just about being flexible. It is just about being getting the store at the right location. Putting the right product mix. So the basics जो होते हैं वो आपको correct deliver करने हैं. पहले वो deliver आप correct करते हैं. So our concentration always is to make sure that the basics are delivered correctly first in every store, and then from there on we look at how do we increase the market share in that particular area. How do we grow in that market? So that is part 2. The part 1 is always for us to get the right basics first correctly.
So sir, for example, South में तो EMIL को तो सब जानते हैं, right? और आपने अगर North में start किया है, तो will be little bit lesser presence you'll have. तो आप do you see those challenges at the moment, or is that something
So I wouldn't say it is a challenge, but what you said is correctly right? That कि नए market में जाते हो, brand किसको पता नहीं होता है, so that is where you have to develop a brand. So it takes a little time initially to develop a brand in a new territory, but then it is, I would not say it is a challenge. It is a part of the journey, traveling where you develop a brand in a new place.
So in terms of penetration, आपका South में और आप penetrate कर सकते हैं आप?
Yeah, so we are, so for the next 3 years, the money that is going to come in from the IPO proceeds are going to be deployed to expand stores in the existing geography as well as in the new geographies as well, like Delhi NCR.
Right.
Yeah.
And sir, most of the business is the retail business, but we also have something like a wholesale business and a online business.
Right.
So online business, you said that you do it on the
Marketplace. Correct.
Yeah, on the marketplaces. But sir, what is the wholesale business? Like, can you explain us what do you do in the wholesale business?
So wholesale and distribution is a line of our business where we have few brands that we distribute, few very limited selective brands that we distribute. Apart from that, जैसे हमारा कोई stock end of life हो जाता है या slow moving हो जाता है या churn थोड़ा slow हो जाता है floor के ऊपर, तो for the larger products where the brand के साथ जो हमारा tie up होता है, हम लोग क्या करते हैं, फिर वो products लेके हम लोग ये mom and pop stores को दे देते हैं. तो just to make sure that we have fresh inventory available on the store front, और ये वाला हम स्टॉक लेके इनको मॉम एंड पॉप स्टोर्स को देते हैं तकरीबन आंध्र प्रदेश तेलंगाना में, जहां पर हम इनको उधारी देते हैं 20 से 25 दिन की, और ये वहां से फिर दे सेल आउट द स्टॉक्स फ्रॉम दो स्टोर्स.
तो सर आप कितना इन्वेस्ट करते हो, या आपका कोई इंटेंशन है होलसेल बिजनेस को और बड़ा करने का, या इज दिस एंसिलरी मे बी?
No, this is ancillary only, and this has remained like this for the last 3 or 4 years on a similar range only. So not much of this thing, because see, there is a risk also involved because you're breaking of credit, right? So you have to make sure कि वो एक threshold से ऊपर बढ़े ना. So that is more important. अगर वो cash and carry business होता तो then you can definitely grow it. But then with the market scenario, a lot of retailers would ask you for a credit period, and that is if the credit is involved, you have to make sure that you're limiting their credit days and the credit number as well.
Right.
Right.
So, sir, say, for example, in this entire thing, मतलब जो margin profile रहता है, say in the retail business, in the wholesale business, and the marketplace. So, इसमें how is the margins distributed? मतलब हर एक में कैसे कैसे margin मिलता है?
So margins are on the similar line only, So when I say that, it all depends on the expense that we book also for these heads. But then at the same time, we try to maintain a profitable business for all three fronts.
So sir, just in addition to what he asked, तो अगर आप बोल रहे हो कि broadly margin similar है profile तीनों में, तो फिर इसका basic sense ये होता है कि आपको धंधा करना है, क्योंकि आप कोई भी मोड से करो आपको सिमिलर बन रहा है इकोनॉमिक्स. तो सर आपका इंटेंशन कौन से साइड ज्यादा बढ़ाने का? तो यू मेंशन्ड केपेक्स ऑफ स्टोर, दैट इज ऑब्वियसली.
So offline definitely, offline definitely is the stronghold for us, and we would like to expand there. And then when we enter a new geography, like for example the e-commerce business, we only limit ourselves to very few SKUs. So अगर हमारे 6000 SKU offline है, we only do 200 plus SKUs online, for example. ठीक है? And at the same time, when it comes to wholesaling and distribution, so there again the SKUs are limited to only 300, 400 SKUs. So where we know that it's going to make money for us, that those kind of SKUs only we play for other channels. But 100% of the SKUs that we operate are only for the offline play, So that is where we concentrate, and going forward also concentration is going to be higher on the store expansion and the offline front.
Okay.
Right. And sir, say like you mentioned only 200 SKUs are put online.
Right.
The 6,000.
Correct.
So, like, what is the reason for that? But online, I'm sure the SKUs which you are putting are the lower ticket SKUs, right?
No. So it depends. So it all depends. Either we put in. So there again, so I was answering to Rikin there, was that we doesn't matter what category it is. If it is available with us offline, and if we think it is going to make us a certain margin, then only we put it online. If something's that's going to get discounted online, or that's going to be diluted online in terms of the pricing, then we don't put those products. We put in products where our margins are higher, we retain a certain profitability. That is where those product categories, or that is what we put online, rather than putting everything just to create a higher top line.
So sir, my next question was going to be on that end, के आपके margins one of the best in the industry, right? And retail is generally about scale, and right. I will say there are players with a better scale not making that much of a margin. So then I think you perhaps answered it by saying कि आपका काफी दिमाग लगता है कि कौन से प्रोडक्ट कहाँ बेचना है. I think is that
true. So that is product mix है, brand है, और इसके अलावा you got to keep your kharcha under control. So a lot of things which give you that kind of a number. So it is not only how well you bargain with the brands, how well you sell on the floor, your expenses under control, how you retain those margins is, it is a recipe of all of these things put together, and that is when you get that kind of a number out.
Sir, now a very simple and a very stupid question maybe, which are your top 5 to 10 customers जिसका you have that मतलब inventory रहता ही रहता है?
तो
Brand.
सारा सी इन्वेंटरी तो आपको सबका रखना पड़ता है, छोटा ब्रांड हो बड़ा ब्रांड हो, हमारे लिए इट इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट टू सेल कन्वर्जन जब पे होता है, लेट इट बी अ मिक्सी गीजर और यू नो समथिंग एज एन आईफोन, फॉर द मैटर यू हैव टू हैव एवरीथिंग इन स्टॉक विद यू, यू नो, सो दैट इज वन इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग. Baki, they're all top brands in every category. So for televisions, it would be 3-4 brands. For refrigerator, it would be 3-4 brands. AC 3-4 brands. Mobile, सारे brands. So mobile तो ऐसा category है जहाँ पर you know you have to display all the top brands that are available. New launch आपका इतना होता है, so you're dealing, so you're practically dealing with all those brands. But the only differentiation majorly would be that we don't have a private label or a white label today. So you know, so that is one major differentiation that we have from our competition.
So what is the reason behind not having a private label? Because आज जो भी बड़े लोग हैं, in the sense like not you only, but say a Reliance or a Chroma or anyone, they all have their private labels in the smaller categories. So what is the reason for you not having it?
So right now, as you said, yes, काफी लोगों के हैं private labels in a lot of industries, not only in ours, but right now we feel that this model works for us, and then we would like to stick to this for some more time. Probably later on in the future, if you know, if time demands for us to have our own label, we will definitely do it.
Okay. So now थोड़ा finance math पे जाते हैं. So for someone you know who doesn't have any understanding of a retail business, कोई हमारा viewer हो, तो आपको समझाना हो कि आप फॉर एग्जांपल अभी स्टोर स्टार्ट करते हो कोई न्यू रीजन में, तो पर स्टोर इकोनॉमिक्स कैसे बैठता है इन ईयर 1 2 3, हाउ व्हेन डू यू ब्रेक इवन एंड व्हेन डज इट यू नो परहैप्स स्टार्ट कंट्रीब्यूटिंग इन अ फुल फ्लेज्ड मैनर.
Yeah, so again, I won't be able to give you too much data on that, but I'll explain it in a very simple manner for your viewers. So usually when हम लोग एक स्टोर बनाते हैं तो हम लोग 8 से 10,000 स्क्वायर फीट का स्टोर लेते हैं, और हमारा केपेक्स उधर वो स्टोर पे होता है तकरीबन 2.5 करोड़ रुपए का, और इंक्रीमेंटल इन्वेंट्री वुड बी फॉर another 2.5-3 crores for that store, and then depending on the seasonality the stock levels would go up or go down, you know, so that is the number that we look at. So what we look at is that for the first 3 to 4 years there is a maximum growth that comes in for a store, and then from there on the store stabilizes to become you know, the SSG for that store comes down to a double digit number where it is there standard for a long time from there on. So that is the plan when we do that. But majorly when we try to open a store, we try to look at the demand in that cluster, demand in that area before opening a store. So for us it is important that a particular store should be delivering an X number, so that is more important for us. और फिर वो क्लस्टर के हिसाब से हम लोग प्रोडक्ट मिक्स क्या हो, ब्रांड्स क्या है, यू नो, कैटेगरीज क्या रखनी है क्या नहीं रखनी है, हम लोग वो डिसाइड करते हैं. But that is how we plan to open a store.
Got it, sir.
Yeah.
So say now example, you might be having stores which are running say for now more than 5 years or 7 years now. So what is the contribution you get from those stores as a percentage of your revenue?
So wouldn't be able to give you the exact data on that, but I can just tell you that ki last 2 years we've opened almost 40 stores of ours out of the 110 plus stores. So you could say that these 40 stores are quite new for us, and they're yet to deliver us you know, a maturity level for that store. But baki jo hamare almost 50 plus stores and they are been operational for almost 5 plus years. So our expansion started back in 2010 onwards. So you can estimate you know, the number of stores that we opened you know, prior to 5 years and above. So that is what it is. And so definitely yes, क्योंकि stores mature हो जाता है, so they are much better performing compared to what the newly open stores. So that definitely would differentiate.
Right. So incrementally, you are going in your IPO from 99% approximately to 77%. Is that correct? So,
Yeah.
sir, would you be incrementally looking to sell some stake to bring it down to the 75 threshold?
So, again, I believe there is a regulation on that. So that again, we have to anyways match in the coming times. Whenever the regulation demands it, we would definitely be doing that.
Okay, so and linked to that, if we can expand on, पहले तो why are we doing an IPO now? Second, हम funds कैसे utilize करेंगे? You know, how much will be paid, how much of the debt will be paid, how much will be used in capex, and lastly, I would ask, what is the rationale behind this valuation at what we are doing the IPO?
Okay, too many questions there on the IPO front, but then TK will answer it. So again, in terms of raising, we are raising 500 crores. 500 में से तकरीबन 220 करोड़ जाएगा working capital requirement के लिए for stocks majorly. There will be repayment of debt of almost 50 crores. There would be 110 odd crores that goes towards the capital expenditure of opening new stores. And around the balance would be for the general corporate expenditure. That is the breakup of the IPO proceeds. And why IPO now is because we're waiting for the right time to launch our IPO. So we definitely had this in mind. We had to prepare the company to launch an IPO in the past as well. So we were waiting कि हम लोग कब position करें इसको IPO को. So we were waiting for our daily operations to ramp up and start off so that we are geographically present somewhere outside AP and Telangana as well. So that was the whole idea. And so right now we see a demand coming in. We know that we can actually open more stores, deploy more money there. So and grow the company from there on. So that was the idea. We will go with this route of raising money and expanding the company forward.
Got it.
Yeah.
Sir, now if we can understand on the revenue front, broadly, if you can, perhaps give some indication as to how the next 2 years can pan out for us.
So again, that would be difficult, but I can just tell you in the past, for the last 5 years, we've been delivering a 17.9 CAGR, and that will give you a flavor of how things would move forward.
Right. So you expect broadly maybe that trajectory.
Hopefully that we maintain some growth there. Yeah.
Right. So I think just to same question I would say. So I think we are coming in the band of 2100 to 2200 crores of valuation, post money valuation.
Yes.
And our revenue would be over 4,000 crores as of FY22.
Yes.
Right. So we are coming at a market cap to sales. Maybe I don't know if it's the right way to look at it, but of 0.5 or maybe even less than that. Whereas some of the listed retail peers, not in the electronic space, I understand that they are trading at perhaps far higher multiples, maybe 2.5 comfortably. So are we underpricing our IPO by any chance?
So again, this is my first IPO, so I don't know too much about it. But I think actually it is from our end. I think it is a value that we thought would be a right price. So that is why we did come up with this valuation.
And sir, can you, as Rikin mentioned, 4,000 crores of revenue. So can you give us a split on how much is from the ACs, from the TVs, and
I'll probably give you a number on that. So 35% approximately comes in from mobile phones, 50 from the larger appliances, and around 10-15% from the smaller categories like kitchen appliances, IT, accessories, and all put together.
So you can correct us if you're wrong, but what we think is that the 35% the mobile market is hyper competitive. We can be wrong if you can.
No, it is absolutely.
Yeah. But so what steps are we taking in order to, scale up that revenue either constantly or do something better?
Yeah. So automatically, so when we look at the product mix, we don't look at a product mix to, raise that significantly, because especially, for a mobile market or a scenario for mobile is very different than the brown and white good category. So the market definitely is much bigger for mobile as a category. The churn is much higher there, but then there is a lot of spillover in that industry as well. So there are people, customers looking for better offers. Always. So price cycle on a mobile phone is much higher than any other category. So it all depends. कि mobile phone का category में play कैसा होता है. So again, it is very different, completely opposite to what you do for your white and brown good as a category. In terms of stocking, in terms of pricing, in terms of
what
discount.
We think is that mobile, maybe not, like, to put it very simply, शायद रोज ही एक नया मॉडल बनता होगा.
Yes. So you have to. That's what. So the inventory.
Exactly. So how do you manage that part of inventory? Because a TV might, there is ऐसे नहीं है कि LG is making a new TV or new 4 LED TV or something like that every day.
Correct.
But mobile तो शायद रोज ही बनता होगा. So how do you manage that?
So that's what. So when I said the category is very different, so from inventory to pricing to churn, it has to be calculated in a very different way. So we have our own methodology of doing that. So that is how we make sure that the inventory is under control for the category. The churn is much higher. Dead stock ना रहे वहाँ पर. So those kind of things are. The mobile is going to be like, say, a daily business, whereas a TV washing machine is going to be like a weekly business. So that is how the difference is. in terms of you managing everything in depth. So your team has to be hands-on with that category.
Got it.
Yeah.
So in terms of revenue per square feet, if we segment it between new and old stores, okay, how long does it take a new store, maybe in year 2 of operation, to catch up to the older store revenue per square feet? In your averages, of course, it depends geography to geography, but
लग जाते हैं 3-4 साल लग ही जाते हैं.
3-4 साल.
Yeah.
सर अपना मतलब फोकस ज्यादातर कहाँ पे रहेगा? Will it be in the tier 2, tier 3 cities or will it be
across? Yeah.
Across.
So wherever we get an opportunity, we feel there is a demand and there is a gap in the market, that is where we would open. So हमारा ऐसा कोई फिक्स रूल नहीं है कि मेट्रो में खोलना है या tier 2, tier 3 में खोलना है. और तो जहाँ पर हमको लगता है डिमांड है और वहाँ पर हम लोग प्लान करते हैं खोलने का.
तो वहां पे कुछ SKUs में कुछ ऐसे डिफरेंस रहता है कि मेट्रो में 6000 SKU डिस्प्ले कर रहे हैं तो टियर 2 में शायद कम होगा?
Almost similar, but very high end or expensive products would be limited in display there. Okay. Because you will not see a major, obviously you will not see like a major churn coming in for those product categories. So that way.
Right.
Got it. I think
yeah.
I think we both are done with our question. This is, been really a learning experience for both of us.
Thank you.
काफी सीखे आपसे.
Thank you.
Thank you for being our teacher and telling us about the retail industry and specifically the electronic retail part.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everybody. Bye bye.